It's 2008 and you just got yourself a brand new Xbox 360. The only problem is you're broke as shit now and have no money to spend on games. You start to get hungry and shamefully walk to the kitchen to get a snack when suddenly you remember one word. Doritos, the diabetes-inducing red 40 tortilla chip thing made by Frito-Lay. Everyone loves a good Dorito from time to time. There's nacho cheese, cool ranch, flamin' hot, barbecue, taco flavor, and so on. But did you know that Doritos and Microsoft partnered up during the 360 era to make video games? In what was one of the strangest marketing campaigns, Doritos released several free games in the Xbox Live Arcade service. The campaign was called the Unlock Xbox Competition and involved people coming up with concepts for different games, and if it was good enough, a team making the game a reality. The promotion lasted from 2008 to 2012, starting with Doritos Dash of Destruction was an arcade racing game released on December 17, 2008. In the main mode, the objective is to pick up Doritos bags and make as many deliveries as possible before the T-Rex eats your truck. Once you've made a certain amount of deliveries, the stage would end and allow you to continue on to the next one. The second mode lets you actually play as a T-Rex eating the Doritos trucks. There was also a local multiplayer mode that lets players play as either the delivery truck or a T-Rex to see which team could gain the most points. Now, according to Wikipedia, quote, a third mode is also unlocked if the player completes both above game modes. This mode will have the player control a sniper from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, shooting bottles of Mountain Dew in the allotted time. For shooting enough targets, the player earns a code that is redeemable in the Xbox Live Marketplace for 14 days of double XP in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Now, I can't find anything on this game mode aside from the Wikipedia article, so it's either bullshit or lost media. Considering World at War was the current COD game, I'm just gonna assume it was misinformation, but damn do I wish it was true. Now unfortunately, I can't actually play the game since it was delisted from the Xbox Marketplace in 2010 before I got my 360. But from the looks of it, I didn't miss much. The entire game could be completed in under 20 minutes, but honestly, what did you expect from a free Doritos tie-in game? The next and by far best Doritos game is Doritos Crash Course. Released on December 29th, 2010, Doritos Crash Course is basically the video game version of Takeshi's Castle or Wipeout. You and up to 3 other friends can compete in a game show around the world in a race to the finish while avoiding obstacles and platforming through a course. If you had an Xbox 360 and friends on Xbox Live, you've definitely played Doritos Crash Course before. It was probably the most downloaded free-to-play game on the 360, and for good reason. Doritos Crash Course is a really solid and fun game. The simple premise of the game makes it easy to understand, and since it's free to play, it's accessible to anyone who owns a 360. The game takes place in the United States, Las Vegas, Europe, London, and Japan, and each location has a unique set of stages and gimmicks. Why Las Vegas is separate from the United States is beyond me though, but at least they predicted Brexit a decade before it happened.
It's a shame the bitch!
When you start the game, most of the stages are locked behind the DLC or a level requirement, so you start with the United States and work your way up. The game has a simple set of controls, with A being to jump and the triggers being to run. If you run too much though, your controller will start to vibrate, and if you keep running, you'll fall on your face. This introduces a nice skill gap with deciding how and when to use the run button, making it so you can't just hold it the entire time. Some obstacles may also require you to duck or slide through them by pressing down on the analog stick. Also, if you're a pussy and can't make it through a certain obstacle on the course, you can hit the bumper to skip the portion of the course, with the trade-off being your score isn't recorded and you're labeled as a chicken. Now, since Doritos Crash Course did so well, they decided to make a DLC pack that contained more courses, as well as make a full-on sequel in 2013. Crash Course 2 is basically Crash Course 1 with a few changes and microtransactions being added. Instead of the goal being just to reach the end of the stage, stars were placed throughout them and acted as the main collectible. In order to unlock new stages, a certain amount of stars would need to be collected in the previous ones, which added more replay value overall. Due to poor microtransaction sales though, and the game being online only, it was shut down a little over a year after the game launched and is unable to be played anymore. Microsoft tried one final time to revive the Crash Course series in 2014 when they released Doritos Crash Course Go for the Windows 8 store. Crash Course Go was just a port of Crash Course 1 and its DLC to PC, and since Windows 8 sucked ass, the game failed once again and was delisted. It's a shame that they never revisited the Crash Course idea again with how fun the first game was, but as a one-off, it's a fun experience that's definitely worth playing and going back to. This game is boring as shit and no one cares about it. Make sure to, okay, I'll actually talk about it. Harm's Way is a combat racing game that was released the same day as Doritos Crash Course. I wonder why one did better than the other. The gameplay can be compared to something like a more realistic version of Crash Tag Team Racing if you've ever played that game. There's a driver team and a shooter team, and each is competing for different reasons. The driver's goal is to place first in 3 different races, while the shooter's goal is to eliminate as many drivers as possible with different weapons. Starting with the drivers, you have a choice of 4 different vehicles and are tasked with racing around the set of a Breaking Bad episode. Along the racetrack, there are also different power-ups you can pick up in order to gain the upper hand against your opponents. Other than power-ups though, it's a pretty standard racing game. The shooters on the other hand have the choice of 4 different weapons and have the objective of destroying the vehicles on the racetrack. Each weapon is mounted at a specific point on the track and has its own unique use case. Shooters can also shoot power-ups on the track and steal them from racers to upgrade their weapons. I think that's about everything the game has to offer. While not horrible, Harm's Way, despite being fun sometimes, is just overall a forgettable game. It's still available on the Xbox store if you'd like to check it out, but it's nothing too special.
Oh my god!
And those were the Doritos games for the Xbox 360. While not much by today's standards, these games kept me and other Xbox players entertained while strapped for cash. If you have a 360, Xbox One, or Series S or X, I'd recommend downloading Crash Course in particular, as it's a good time even without friends. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking or subscribing as it helps out with the channel, and until next time,
Fuck me, man!